your forecast first. Sponsored by Matex Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing.
Well, good evening to you on this cold and snowy night across central Illinois. You can see snow right along that I-72 corridor from Springfield through Decatur and to Champaign, and several reports of slick road conditions out there along I-72 tonight. So be careful if you're heading out. And man, it is cold. Look at the temperature. We're at 5, but just a hint of a wind turns that 5 into -6. We're going to be below 0 for our wind chills all the way through the rest of this upcoming week here. As a matter of fact, through tomorrow morning, we might be down around 10 below 0 with those wind chills. When we come back, how long does this cold snap stick around and how additional snowfall accumulation is expected? That's coming up. WCIA 3 News starts right now.
Now from WCIA 3 News.
One thing didn't change this year for Super Bowl Sunday, how it kept delivery drivers busy. Plus, remember when the National Guard was deployed to the state capitol last month? It didn't come cheap, and you are footing the bill.
And do you know something about all of our presidents, let alone can you name them all? We'll introduce you to some kids who can.
You're watching your local news leader. This is WCIA 3 News at 9 on X49.
Bitter cold and snow, and it's not going away anytime soon. Good evening. I'm Paul Cicchini.
And I'm Jessica Coons. Another round of winter weather is headed our way, but it won't be the last of it. WCIA 3's chief meteorologist Kevin Leidy is joining us. And Kevin, tonight it's pretty slick out there.
It is indeed, and you can see those wind chills again tomorrow morning. They're going to be really low, but we've got more snow that's going to become an issue as well, not just tonight and tomorrow. So the reason that the roads are a little bit more on the kind of slick side of things is the fact that it's a very light and kind of a fluffy snow that we are dealing with. And so it's kind of whipping around. The wind's kicking up a bit there as well. So, you know, be on the lookout here because we were 3 below 0. I just want to show you the almanac today because we've only hit 8 degrees for a high temperature. Salt is not effective when it is that cold outside on the roads, so slick conditions. And we've got more snow that is on the way. When we come back here in a little bit, we're going to talk about just how we've got maybe another, just this week, 4 to 5 inches of snow in the forecast, so stick around.
All right, Kevin, we'll see you then. If there ever was a day for the cold, it is Super Bowl Sunday. A lot of people are bundled up inside, but not everyone. Today is arguably the busiest day of the year for delivery drivers. WCIA 3's Jared Farmer stopped by a few places. He joins us live in the newsroom. Jared, this year is no exception to that.
Yes, Jessica, and if you are a delivery driver today, it's a chance that you were extremely busy. If your order took a little bit longer than usual, it's probably just because about everyone and their mother was doing the same thing. I went to Jet's Pizza and Wingstop on Neal Street in Champaign just to get a glimpse of how fast their day was moving. Both places told me they plan on this for weeks in advance. They say that this year was especially busy with fewer people gathering because of COVID, meaning they responded to more individual orders. The manager at Jets, Josh Medine, tells me this Sunday is always as incredible and amazing as it is intense and exhausting.
Delivery business is booming. And that means that we have to be ready.
You know, we're all here to make people happy and, you know, make sure the food's hot and fresh. And that's our #1 goal, to make sure everyone gets their food on time and it's perfect.
Medine says to get non-contact delivery if you can choose. Most drivers are out and interacting with a lot of faces tonight, and the best way to make it easier and safer for everyone involved is to just give them a neutral place that they can drop it off outside. He's also saying on a day like today, with not only the Super Bowl, but also sub-zero temperatures, to please tip your delivery guy nicely. Jessica?
Some good advice there. All right, Jared, thank you.
And Kevin mentioned it a little earlier. IDOT is warning people to be prepared if you do need to drive somewhere in this weather. You should make sure someone is aware of your route, whether it's a couple blocks or miles away. It's also recommended to check the forecast before you go to get a sense of what the roads will be like and stock up on supplies.
Have an emergency kit that has jumper cables, flares or reflectors, windshield washer fluid, a small ice scraper, traction material, blankets, non-perishable food, and a first aid kit.
IDOT's also warning drivers to go slowly on the roads because it's slick out there, and to allow yourself plenty of room to stop if necessary. Champaign police are investigating after a man was shot early this morning. Happened near East Beardsley Avenue and North 4th Street. Police say the 48-year-old man was walking in the area when he was shot. He's expected to be okay. Police are asking anyone in the area who has surveillance recordings to contact them.
The Champaign-Urbana law enforcement community is mourning a loss tonight. Anthony Carpenter died. He was an officer at the U of I Police Department and a former Champaign County correctional officer. No other information has been released at this time. Illinois spent $2/3 of $1 million to board up and secure the state capitol during the inauguration, and you paid for it. Our Capitol Bureau Chief Mark Maxwell is here with the receipts. Mark, the National Guard not cheap.
Jessica, they're not. In fact, Governor Pritzker called out 250 of them, those troops, to stand outside the state capitol and the surrounding buildings. You remember these images in the days leading up to President Biden's inauguration. All of that in response to an FBI warning about heavily armed protests that could break out at 50 state capitals across the country. Those big, heavily armored trucks and the equipment, that cost $75 grand to rent from the federal government. And because the mission was state active duty, Illinois taxpayers picked up the tab for the deployment of the soldiers, too. The cost of their salaries and food during those 4-day stretch, nearly $560,000. And state contracts show all of this, the wood you're seeing, cost nearly $34,000 to install that plywood around the State House, the doors and the windows on the first level. That brings the total cost of boarding up and surrounding the Capitol to $668,959. In a statement, a spokesman said the Illinois National Guard is only used in emergencies after civilian first responder resources are exhausted. Went on to say, we're proud to work with our law enforcement and emergency response partners in ensuring that our state capitol is secure against domestic terrorism. Jessica?
Interesting to see those numbers. Mark, thank you.
Also from the state, the latest on the coronavirus now. The positivity rate continues to go down. It's now 4.1%, but more than 2,000 new cases were announced today, along with 48 additional deaths. Looking at the percentage of ICU beds being used across the state, Region 6, the area in yellow on that map, has 66% of beds being used. That's the lowest percentage in the state. Every other region is in the 70% usage range, with Region 3, the area in light red, at 75%. Super Sunday may be different this year, but it's still a day to make some memories. We asked for your favorite Super Bowl memories, and we spoke to some people who agreed the Bears losing to the Colts in 2007 at Super Bowl 41 was a game they will never forget. Sports fan from Champaign, Charlie Cavanis, says football is his favorite, and his favorite memory is being with his family on Sundays. He's watched every Super Bowl since 2000 and says he'll always root for the Bears.
Of course, I'm going to start with my Bears. Hester running back that touchdown, like, okay, we're going to win this. And then Peyton Manning being Peyton Manning, I consider he's better than Brady. The GOAT settled in and did that.
A return of 20.
Today, he was cheering on the Chiefs because one of their players, Nick Allegretti, is a former Illini.
From one Super Bowl to another, we are partnering with the Super Bowl of Caring to raise money for area food banks. The goal is to raise money for each zip code in our viewing area. It started as a youth-inspired movement working across the country to tackle hunger. It's created more than $160 million worth of support that stays in central Illinois. Those details are on our website.
It's the first time the president's given a TV interview since taking his oath of office. What he had to say about getting kids back into the classroom.
And these kids know a thing or two about presidents. Well, what they can tell you.
Kevin, it is cold, it is slick, it's snowing.
It's a rough night out there for sure, and it's going to not change at all for possibly 2 weeks.
Just the sun comes up and goes down.
I don't know about that. Take a look. You can see the snow falling. This is Decatur. Our roofing dug out at Carriage Crossing. You can see the snow there under the light. And look at the tire tracks that you can see on the area roads there as that snow continues. As we take that full, you can see out there tonight that the snow showers are going to continue, and we have got some very, very cold air over the next week. We'll talk about it coming up.
Now, Central Illinois' most accurate forecast with meteorologist Kevin Lighty.
All right, very cold out there tonight. Look at our temperatures. Right now it is 5 degrees in Champaign. It's 1 in Wcia with the wind. It feels like 7 below zero. And guess what? It's not going to warm up here anytime soon. That is for sure. You can see here with the temperatures and the wind chill all the way through tomorrow morning. We're going to be staying down in that 5 to 10 below zero range. So it's going to stay very cold for us here, as you can see, with even just a hint of a wind. Those temperatures staying very chilly. Take a look at the future wind chill here as we go throughout the course of the next couple of days, and it's going to stay like that. We're talking 10, 15 below zero for us Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. This is one of the longer cold snaps we have seen in a while. So not a lot of change here. So we've got the cold, but there's also the snow. And what to expect here? Well, roads are slick. Slow down. The salt just does not work at these temperatures. It's not as effective. So you really need to be careful out there. And this light, fluffy snow is perfect for making it just a little bit more on the slick side. And look at this little band here that is running right along I-72 from Springfield through Decatur and Champaign. This whole area here, seeing this snow and that heaviest band into northern Macon County. See the darker blues right there. And so we're talking here before too long, Monticello, probably going to see some of that heavier snow. There's the future track showing it, not just tonight, but through tomorrow, kind of off and on snow. And it's not out of the question that, we throw down some more accumulation. We've got medium impacts out there for tonight and tomorrow because we're forecasting an additional 1, maybe 2 inches of snow, light and fluffy, just like it kind of has been over the last couple of days. But there's an even stronger system that's now showing up for Wednesday. That one could bring us accumulating snowfall a little bit more. Right now, we've bumped up the impacts up to high on our scale here, and that is again for Wednesday. And we're just not going to warm up. Here's your highs in the teens nearly every single day. Another blast of cold air by next weekend may actually have us once again with single-digit high temperatures here. This is an unbelievable cold snap that we are in. We may not go above 32 for another 13 days. That puts us to February 20th, and that would total up 16 days in a row, because we've had, this is day number 3 right now. If we add on 13, it'll be 16 days in a row below 32 degrees. That is not a stat you like to see. 3 tonight with the snow showers out there, expecting some more of that as well. 1-2 inches of snow not out of the question here. Let's look at the 7-day. That has several opportunities there for the white stuff to still be flying around, but it is rough. It is a rough go of things. We're going to just, maybe the body's going to start to get a little bit more used to it, accustomed to this. I mean, you're going to have to, because we're not going to see anything even melt away. That's the other thing. We're going to put down snow, several opportunities here, and it's not going to melt away at all because we're not going above 32 for 2 weeks.
32 is going to feel good when we finally get to
oh my
it.
gosh, yeah, we're going to be opening up the pools around these spots. Yeah.
Wearing shorts, flip-flops.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, Kevin, thanks. Now for a bright spot after that very cold forecast. This picture comes from Greg. He says Banks was already got his seat ready for the big game tonight. Just straight chilling there.
Looks like it. All right, we want to see pictures and videos. Email us, send them on Facebook. We will have a post at the top of our page for you to share what you are seeing.
And we'll have some of your national news next.
Earlier tonight, CBS News aired President Biden's first television interview since taking office.
The president says they plan on using NFL stadiums as vaccination centers, and they're pushing to get more vaccines manufactured. He also says it's time for schools to reopen safely and adds the CDC commissioner could lay out minimum requirements for that as early as Wednesday.
A memorial service was held this afternoon in Florida for one of the FBI agents killed in the line of duty last week. Agents Dan Afflin and Laura Schwarzenberger died when they tried to serve a warrant in a child pornography case. 3 other agents were hurt. The gunman later killed himself.
Former Secretary of State George Shultz has died at the age of 100. He held the position under President Ronald Reagan and spent most of that time trying to improve Cold War relations with the then Soviet Union. He most recently was Professor Emeritus at Stanford's Graduate School of Business.
President's Day is fast approaching, and some kids are already prepared.
And they could teach you a lesson or two. Their story next.
The news continues here on WCIA 3, your local news leader.
Do you know the names of all of the U.S. presidents?
It's a good question. I probably can't say them all right now, but some kids in Champaign can recite them and give you a short history lesson too. WCIA 3's Jamie Mays has more.
Former students at Carl Auditory Oral School say they know all the U.S. presidents.
James Monroe, John Quincy Adams.
6-year-old Logan Tarr and Hank Enright started learning the presidents last year. They were 4 years old when they learned them together with 14 other students.
James Polk, Zachary Taylor, Miller, Phil.
They not only know the names, but over the course of several months, they remembered a few fun facts too.
And how Taft got stuck in the bathtub.
And George Washington.
Put powder in his hair to make his hair white.
They say their teacher, Miss Pat Marie, earned an award for teaching them. And even though they have both moved on to other schools, they say they have not forgotten what they were taught.
You get used to it, and then it just never gets out of your mind.
Jamie Mays, WCIA 3, your local news leader.
That was a good one. The students say it was fun, not just to learn the names, but all of the funny facts about them too.
There are several new COVID variants out there, so what does that mean for the vaccine?
What one former health official said when he weighed in today.
This is WCIA 3 News, your local news leader.
Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot says the city and the teachers union reached a tentative agreement to get kids back in the classroom.
The plan is for students to go back to in-person learning in Chicago in waves. It'll start this week and continue through the beginning of March. The two sides have been at odds for weeks. City officials argued reopening schools was urgent for students facing failing grades, depression, and isolation. The teachers union countered with COVID concerns.
We can assume that the vaccines are probably going to be about 20% less effective against these new variants from Brazil and South Africa, which has mutated.
That is former FDA Commissioner Scott Gottlieb discussing the new COVID variants and effectiveness of the vaccines against them today on Face the Nation. He says they'll probably be 20% less effective against the new variants from Brazil and South Africa, but they'll still offer reasonable protection. However, South Africa suspended plans to use the AstraZeneca vaccine after a trial suggested it wasn't effective in preventing mild to moderate illness from the variant that's dominant there.
We'll have a final check of your forecast coming up after this. Finally tonight, while many watch the Super Bowl, others preferred to keep their eyes on the Puppy Bowl.
The Animal Planet show featured roughly 100 puppies in this 17th annual event. To keep difference this year because of COVID, pup close and personal segments on some of the dogs on the field.
Just like our Bark Bowl.
They had nothing. They had nothing on you.
We had relay races.
Much better production value here, that's for sure. All right, cold, snowy out there tonight. Be careful if you have to be. I gotta tell you, that snow, it's slick. That fluffy snow out there, and it's going to continue for us all the way into next week as well. We've got several opportunities for the snow. Another system we think on Wednesday. I think even just tonight and tomorrow, a couple of inches, not out of the question. But then you've got just this prolonged cold snap here where we've got overnight lows in the single digits and even below zero. So be careful out there tonight. I know I was just in the back parking lot out there, and there's not a lot of snow. And that's the thing. There's not a lot out there, but you step on that, and it's a little slick.
Yeah, you don't need a lot for it to be a little slippery.
Yeah, it's often these smaller events that can cause the most issues out there. So, of course, we'll have more coming up after the game and after all the stuff. What's that show?
The Equalizer.
Equalizer. That's right.
Equalizer on CBS. Yep. We'll be on after all of that. Download the weather app over the next week because you're going to need those details.
That is exactly right.
All right. We'll see you later. Have a good night.